Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cosmere Connections. We're a collective of book-loving nerds rereading Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. From book 1 to book 16 million, we'll be uncovering every secret connection there's to find. Today we are joined by Swiggity Swoo,
We're getting awfully close to the end of this book.
John,
Elantris, Elantris, Elantris.
Kay,
It was D-Lof all along.
and I'm ReaderWarrior, and today we're going to be talking about Elantris Part 3, The Spirit of Elantris, chapters 55 through 59.
Yeah, we're almost there, aren't we? I
Yeah,
think we have one more episode, right?
Two more.
Two, technically, because we're going to have the epilogue and Ars Arcanum and...
Yeah, it's rolling right along though.
It's
go.
been a crazy ride. It almost broke us.
A little bit.
All right.
So I guess we'll just dive right in with what 55 is first. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So we'll start with the short version, and then we'll go to the actual version. Raoden and Serene flirt a bunch. Raoden grows her hair, and then they get a telescope and see dead people.
Let's move on. Chapter 56.
I mean, that's kind of how it goes.
Yep.
No,
Well
Raoden
said. Yeah.
and Serene are hanging out on top of Kyanan's house, and they are kind of finally knowing who each other really are and taking the opportunity to be the young lovers that they never were able to be before. And yeah, they definitely flirt a lot.
And it can't be overstated how sweet it is when the hair does grow back.
Yes, although there
Yeah.
is something about that bothers me so slightly. But that'll be for later.
Besides the fact that it just makes you think of Mr. Potato Head.
Like one of those little Play-Doh dolls where you shove the Play-Doh in there and it goes like...
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought of that. Actually, it makes me think of another book that we haven't covered yet.
Oh, yep.
As these books tend to.
Yeah. Yes, especially this one. But Serene is actually like kind of shocked / mildly annoyed with herself / I don't know, just miffed that she hadn't figured it out sooner. But Raoden excuses it, and then they go back to their flirting, and finally Raoden says, "You know, we're not actually technically married." And Serene's like, "You will not leave me." And he's like, whoa, I just thought we should make it official. And she's like, "Oh, well, that's okay." And that's when Raoden forcibly rips away her wig like luchador wrestler and starts doodling in the air and makes her hair grow back, which she is extremely touched by because that was obviously a traumatic thing for her. And she gets, you know, her golden locks back down to the middle of her back. Let's see, where are we at here? So they flirt a little bit more, and then Serene notices, like, she asks him to, like, take off his illusion, and she sees where she did, in fact, cut him on the cheek, and she's like, oh no! And he's like, it happens. And then they flirt some more. And then...
You know, your fiance tries to kill you.
Right, as you do, especially when you're playing the part of a flounce of a doula.
They do have a sweet relationship, though.
It is. It's very charming. I'm being very flippant about it, but it's actually a very charming chapter. Like, it's very sweet.
It's very cute.
You know, me and my girlfriend were fencing at a Halloween party just last month.
Nice.
With real ones?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Actually, that's why I couldn't make it the other episode. I didn't have the Shayo. I actually got stabbed at a Halloween
Nice.
party.
Those kidney wounds are a real bear.
Yeah.
So after a while, they see something going on the palace, and Raoden makes a magic telescope, and they're able to kind of see better what's going on, and they watch as the palace guards lay out the corpses of Telrai and Yondel. May their souls ever rest in peace.
It
In
just
the
reminds me
spiritual
of that line from last week. Like, so much for not having a bloody change in power.
Right?
Give it a few chapters.
I love that line.
There you go. There's your quote of the book, I guess.
That would be so funny. It's so like against what the book is. Like, it's all about like restoring hope and like, maintaining willpower and devotion. And this is just like a dejected, like ironic, like,
Yeah.
we've failed.
Oh, great. Well,
I
there
love
goes the
part when
neighborhood.
Serene's like, I love when Serene's like, I can't believe I didn't figure out, and Raoden's like, well, the doula figured it out within like a few days. So
It's all part of their, politicized flirting, their flirtatiousness.
I did
Excuse
want to
me.
comment on how this chapter reminded me that when she first gets to Erelon, it seems like she's going to be spending more time investigating Raiden's death. Like, she starts sniffing around and it seems really suspicious, but that thread kind of got dropped, didn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, a little.
I think Brandon tried to weave it in when she was capturing Iodin and thought, oh, maybe he's got him tied down in the sewers somewhere. But that was obviously
Yeah,
not
that's
the case.
true.
Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward chapter. We get to see a touching moment, and
Sorry,
it's
I suppose
capped with
what-
corpses.
chapter 56.
The stage is yours.
Sereni comforts Shuden over his future father-in-law being a traitor. Tarina, who if you don't remember is Ahane's daughter and was courting Shuden, is disappeared basically, and his best friend Eondel is now dead, and they have kind of a touching moment where like Sereni sees that pain through his eyes, and they're watching the Elantris guards burn the bodies of the people fallen from the night before. Soon they approach, the guards approach Kiein's house, and it's unclear if they're friendly or hostile. Kiein shows another side of himself when he suggests knocking down a wall to keep them at bay, and when he declares that he accepts the rule of no man. The caution is unnecessary, however, as the men ask for Raoden, the true heir of the throne of Erelon. They plan to have the coronation in an hour, as Raoden accepts the throne. Raoden is ready to accept his birthright and responsibility, and he ponders how this will change the world. After his coronation, Erelon and Teod will be united against Fjordell, which is almost kind of a throwaway line in the book. It's just setting the scene before things go down. But I thought it was a really cool way of looking at it. Like, when he takes this position, it's going to be... if things go well, it would be like Teod and Erelon united against Fjordell. And I would kind of like to see how that plays out. But what ends up happening is, as he's making his speech, he feels someone else manipulating the door. Raoden sees Dilaf in the crowd skulking, and his illusions fail. The nobles see he is a dirty Elantrian. People begin to rage, but Sereni soothes them, questioning how being a Sheod struck makes him any less prepared for kingship. Blessedly, the crowd sees her side and accepts Raoden as Dilaf hisses in frustration. The priests slither off, and Raoden explains it was Dilaf who cast the door to break Raoden's illusion. He asks and subsequently borrows Ash to contact Galadon and warn him to be ready. And then he says that, foreshadowing. Sorry. I wrote a joke in here for myself and I just started reading it. It was like the whole, like, foreshadowing is a literary device for blah, blah. Because he's just calling Galadon to be like, something might be happening, man.
Pretty much. Did anybody else forget that Tarina was Ahan's daughter?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did. I had to look it
no,
up.
I would have had no idea.
I remembered that she was Ahan's daughter.
I completely forgot.
I had to look it up because there was like this whole paragraph explaining like, oh, your father-in-law is gone and now your future bride-to-be is missing and all this stuff, and I was like, all these connections. I was like, wait, who's who?
I got it from
I need
context
names.
clues, but like I completely forgot she was Ahan's daughter.
There are a lot of names in this book.
There are, and many of them are somewhat small roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where like, if there had been a follow-up within a reasonable time, I can see these people becoming like known and loved characters, but with how short this series ends up being with just the one book, like they end up being a bit forgettable.
Yeah. Cain was strangely antagonistic towards Raoden in this chapter, though. Like, considering, like, they were good friends before the Sheo took him.
Why do you say he was being antagonistic? What makes you feel he was being antagonistic? Because I didn't feel he was being antagonistic.
There was that still, wait for my command to collapse your entryway, Cain, Raoden said. That is an order. Cain grounded his teeth for a moment, then nodded. All right, Raoden, but not because you order it, but because I can trust you. My son may call you king, but I accept the rule of no man.
Yeah, it's because now we have to start learning why he is the way he is.
But also, like, you think, considering what we learned from Cain in my chapter, that he would be more compassionate towards somebody who has had their throne stolen from them.
I mean, maybe, but can we ever really know for sure? That's the thing.
True.
And also, this is him being compassionate.
But it feels like he's being written as somebody who just despises royalty because of what happened instead of...
No, it's a I'm not listening to you because you're royalty. I'm listening to you because I trust you as a friend.
Then why the gritting of the teeth thing? That's the part that makes me
I think he's
it's...
just stressed.
I mean, that could be. He also does have a bit of a beef with authority, like...
Which I feel like that's how it's written, but I feel like that's not how it should be written.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
This is
I don't know. I've also kind of felt like the crushed throat thing could have been a little bit better foreshadowed. I do think they're trying to portray him as just being like a little bit, like they're trying to give us a hint towards that.
And they have been showing how cold and ruthless he has been now that, you know, there are tensions.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole book is just like you meet somebody and you get this kind of impression of them, and then by the end of the book you realize, oh, they were actually this the whole time as well. Or, you know, we see that with everybody.
So this is, I think, where the Sanderlanche of the series kind of starts, because we have the first
This
ever.
is where it starts?
Yes, because this has
It
the
didn't
first
start-
extended like POV change. This is
It didn't start in the previous at the end of the previous part when two main side characters got killed?
in the last chapter, A.
No, it
So-
was 2 chapters ago.
It was the last chapter of the previous section.
Yeah.
I know because it was my chapter, and then I took the chapter right after it because they go together.
So if you go by the 100-page rule, technically it was the chapter set before that. But I think since this has the extended POV change, and then the chapter after that completely has like, not after that one, but like 59 has like every different POV.
This is such a funny thing to argue.
Yeah, I don't. I was
It,
just,
it kind of is, but
I
I
was-
I
wanted
think
to-
the Sanderlanche starts when the wheels come off the wagons, and that has definitely happened prior to this, in my humble opinion.
the way you said that Raoden's secret got revealed, I'm just like, did he show off his like search history or something? Like there was that schoolgirl comment about Sereni last chapter, like.
Oh,
what
yeah,
is
I
up
forgot
there?
about that. Yeah, that was a cool scene though, right when they accept him for who he is, even though he's an Elantrian.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have Delof hissing, just slithering
Yep.
away.
Snake.
I did recently like watch a Sanderson video where he said one of his editors hates when he puts the word hiss in there.
I think it perfectly encapsulates Delof. I love it.
It does.
Delof
It's like,
is
who
a
hisses?
snake. He's a
I think-
snake. He's more animal than human. Alright, speaking of Delof, are you ready to go into the next chapter? Chapter 57. So, Hrathen was also in the throne room at the time when Raoden's disguise got removed. But he was thinking that Raoden wasn't actually Raoden and was just someone who looked like Raoden. Oh, sorry. He was just someone who looked like Raoden that Sereni had convinced to like help her. And then when it gets revealed that he is an Elantrian, suddenly Hrathen is like, oh, things are making sense. The
The wheels are turning.
It's happening.
wheels are turning. But so he quickly leaves after the people agree with Sereni's declaration, and he's definitely thinking to himself about how he probably should have listened to Delof a little bit more about getting the people to hate Elantris a little bit more than he did. So
Poor
and
Hrathen.
yeah,
There was
he's-
never anything he could have done.
He's walking and he's following behind Delof because Delof left just before him. He's following a little ways behind Delof, and he notices that Delof isn't going back to the temple. And he's like, what is going on? Why is Delof not going back to the temple? This doesn't make any sense. So he follows him. And
Like you do when you
He-
find a snake.
and
Like
he
the snake
walks
he is.
into the tent for the Airline Market area. And suddenly all of these men step out of the shadows. And Hrathen was like, oh, the invasion. It's happening now. That's why so many Fjord elves decided to stay despite the political climate that was happening. So many merchants decided to stay despite the political climate. It's because they weren't merchants. They are monks of Dakor.
Dakor!
I thought we left the metal on Scadrial.
Not tonight, apparently.
Yep.
I got nothing for this chapter. It is cut
Dang.
and dry.
Reader has nothing to add.
My notes are
Packed.
literally, hey, Hrathen's jealous and the monks of Dakor, exclamation point.
Oh yeah. Also, Hrathen is weirdly jealous of Raoden and Serene's relationship.
Yeah, he's been
like
crushing
it.
pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like, for a while now.
But it's
Kinda
so
weird.
it's so unfounded. Even he knows.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, even he knows it's weird.
Yeah.
He's like, I never had a chance with her. But she's the only one who actually stood up to me, though.
We had
Besides
like one
Deloff.
conversation in which she was pretending to be a dumb blonde. That was
Yeah.
about
Rusty
it.
Deloff.
Well, and they've had this like antagonistic relationship
Really not
going
healthy.
on. But yeah, it's like
But-
what? Hrathen, what? What?
It's the quiet ones you gotta look out for. you
It
know?
really is.
Yeah.
And Deloff wasn't even that quiet.
No, he
Yeah,
wasn't.
no, he was
loud
very
and
vocal.
annoying.
But you also got to watch out for the really loud ones.
Apparently, you just gotta
I
watch
guess-
out for everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
At this point, though, kind of at the beginning of the book, you're like, not sure if you should root for Hrathen or not. And now at this point, you're like, you're pretty sure, like, he's at least better than Deloff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, we always
Well-
knew that Hrathen was better than Deloff. Like,
Right, and I've been advocating for him all along, I would just like to say.
Well, I wasn't sure. Maybe it's because I've only read this once. But at this point, it's pretty obvious that Hrathen, while devoted to a cause that is ultimately doomed to fail, is, I think, just in his pursuits.
Yeah. Problem is he read the letter wrong, as we'll get to later.
Right now.
Yeah, right now, chapter 58. Unless everybody else has something to add for 57.
No, I think that was quite nice.
Great job.
thank you.
So-
You.
The sounds of swords clashing wake Raoden from his slumber. He investigates, poor horror movie choice, and finds monsters tearing their way through his guards. It was like their skin had metal beneath it, rigid and stiff. When a guard tries to stab one, it just bounces off. One of the monster's red eyes fall upon him, Deloff. He quickly incapacitates Raoden and orders him brought. So this is a really weird chapter where I get all three POVs in one. Anything for the Raoden one.
But they're still in the correct order.
Yes. Can you imagine how terrifying it would be? Not just to have somebody breaking in, but somebody with like glowing red eyes. And with
And deformed bones.
and like impervious skin.
Actually, it's funny. I used to have a recurring nightmare that when I was a kid, my dad let me drive the car home one night, and I was sitting on his lap, and in the dream, that's what's happening is that night. But then, like, we get halfway up the street to my house, and all of a sudden my dad's gone. I look and my mom is gone. She's not in the car. My little sister's not in the car anymore. And so I can't reach the pedals, right? So I coast the car up the hill and pull it into the ditch and bump into a tree. And when I get out, they all come pouring out of the house. But they're skeletons. the dog is a they all have red glowing eyes. Like that was a recurring nightmare I had repeatedly as a kid.
Horrifying.
I think you need to
It
see
really
a therapist.
was.
Truly.
I haven't had that dream in ages, but it's a thing.
Take your word for it. Srini is meeting with a beggar named Hoyd. He is the one sneaking supplies into the Elantrians. Ashley goes to tell them another shipment is coming, this one full of weapons, while Srini heads home. However, her journey is stopped when they see Erelon engulfed in flames, with shirtless warriors killing everyone in the streets. One of them notices Sereni's carriage and leaps all the way onto the horse's back. He removes the coachman from his service, and Serini runs out, racing to Cayenne's home as the man slowly stalks her. She almost makes it, but he grabs her leg and throws her to the ground. A Fjordell curse or prayer or saying leaves the warrior's lips as he prepares to kill her, but suddenly a massive force crashes into him. With an axe as big as a man's chest, Cayenne hacks away at the monstrous warrior. It couldn't cut very deep, but Cayenne was able to break his neck. Or skull. Not really says. Her uncle then pulls Serini into his house, and Lukel collapses the entryway. I want to come back to that. Dora, Shuden, Tarina, and the twins and Adaine are all there. Raoden isn't. Cayenne says that he promised to never use the axe again, and Serini recognizes Aeon Rio in its steel. It wasn't an ornament, and she remembers that only one person had been associated with it. Driok Crushthroat, the pirate. Cayenne corrects her, saying that it's actually Crushthroat, Edie, who tried to take the throne back from his younger brother. Okay.
We finally figure out why Sereni's dad doesn't like Kia.
Okay. I actually really like this twist. I know there was like very little setup, but for whatever reason, I love this twist.
I mean, it's pirates.
Yes.
Who doesn't love pirates?
And it's the older brother like went out and wasted his life, and the younger brother had to step up, and then the older brother comes back and he's like, I want my throne. The younger brother's like, no, you messed up, you don't get it anymore. So he raised up an army against him and he lost. And I don't know, that whole sub story that it probably exists somewhere in Brandon's notes. I want to read it.
I mean, I think you pretty much got the gist of it.
But imagine like the details or the fun of it.
I know what you mean. I'm
Well,
just giving you a hard time.
We certainly don't get to read it here, do we?
No.
Unfortunately.
So Lukel pulls a sconce, which is, I did not know there was an actual word for it, is the metal torch holding device that you typically see in medieval movies.
Yeah. Did you not know that was called a sconce?
No.
It's not just that. It's like any light fixture that is mounted directly to a wall.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, now you do.
And second of all, does like Cayenne have like dynamite? How does he collapsing the front of his house? Like, it doesn't sound like he's collapsing the full front. It sounds like he's just burying the entryway under some rocks. So like, was there like just like a couple of boulders sitting on top of the doorway?
That's kind of what it seems like.
Right. Just collapse
He's
the
just
entry.
that strong. He's just got like, muscles.
I'm like, I can't help but imagine it like it's like a water bucket teetering on like the door, on the top of the door. But I'm also like, if I were like designing it, having like the front door and like this entry hallway and having like that with rocks on either side, make it like kind of decorative, and then have maybe like dynamite or gunpowder or something cause those to collapse inward. Maybe that
They don't
seal
have
off that entry hallway.
Gunpowder.
I don't know. I'm trying to make this work in my mind. It
I
doesn't
know.
need to.
I'm just trying to help you with the fact that they don't have gunpowder. So,
Somehow they were able to make this happen. anything for the Serini chapter.
It must just be built. Like, it must be built that way, you know? You don't come up with the idea. Like,
Just
that was his
built that
first
way.
idea. You know, it wasn't like he thought about it. It was like they were rolling up and he was immediately like, we gotta cross the wall. Like, he's been waiting to do this.
I mean, if he was a pirate for a lot of years, he probably has a lot of enemies.
I mean, he could probably be
Yeah.
expecting Eventeo to come at him.
Yeah. Yeah, like one of the biggest being Eventio from Teod. So
Is that why he lives along the seaside, so he can see them coming?
Perhaps
maybe
that would
I
make
mean,
sense.
they also say that his house is up on a hill, on top of a hill.
Mm.
So
He has the high ground.
I think more than anything, it's hard to believe that Sereni's dad never told her.
Well, they told her that Drea Crushed did the things. I think they just never said, oh, by the way, your uncle is Drea Crushed Throat.
it kind of sounds like it happened and then they just kind of like buried the details a little bit, or like changed it so that it was more in the favor of Eventio. So, like, taking out the fact that the older brother, who was actually heir to the throne, was coming to come get his throne back. That's not a good look for Eventio. Like,
Like, if that were the case,
True.
and he spun the narrative that, oh, my brother died, this person's just coming for it, then how does, like, Uncle Cain exist in that story?
I didn't say that the brother died.
Well, I'm saying Cain died. So if they're saying
No,
there
but
were originally two brothers.
No one said that he died.
Oh, so they're basically saying Cain left, gave up the throne.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
it could work.
that Kian left and gave up the throne
And then randomly a pirate showed
of
up.
Teod, and a pirate decided to try to take over, that they were going to try to take over Teod.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Hrathen. It was.
Does anybody know what the Aeond on the axe stands for?
Rio, death, as in Rioed.
It's badass.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
It was the end of Arelon, and Delof could not be happier. Hrathen tries to question him, but his Odiv tells him to shut up. Hrathen sees Delof's chest and recognizes one for Graduate, one of the marks for Graduate, one of only 2 titles that outranked Gjorn. Worse, he was Graduate, leader, of the Dakor Monastery. As Hrathen studies the other marks on Delof's chest, knowing them to be grown, knotted, and hardened bone, Hrathen remembers the short time he had spent there, and that the bone patterns affected everyone who stayed there for too long. They even gave strange powers. This whole time, Delof was pretending to be to be of Arelon. Hrathen submits to him, and Delof mocks him for his task. He tells him to reread his orders and explains that he was never meant to convert them. Hrathen was only meant to be a warning. They were never meant to be saved. They Arelonians. Hrathen is horrified, but Delof explains that when they are gone, it will destroy the Elantrians as well. The whole time he speaks of this genocide, Delof's smile continues to grow.
Delof is just crazy.
You gotta love a good straightforward villain
Yes.
sometimes.
Oh my gosh, I kind of miss it sometimes. Like, I like 3-dimensional villains, and I like characters who are, like, trauma-coded and have been fallen into a villainy, but sometimes I just love a good 2D villain.
You gotta love a good 2D villain sometimes. Like, a villain who is just evil because they just want to be evil. Like,
I'm often shocked at how 2D real life villainy can be.
I'm still not over it.
I do love Dilaf, though.
I'm wondering, though, are all of the Takor monks men?
I think it is implied, yes, that they are all men.
I was gonna say they don't mention any female ones that I remember, but I think I I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
It did expressly state that they were shirtless men. And when Raiden or whoever saw them, I think it was Raiden.
Serene. Yeah, both Raiden and Serene. Well, that's what I'm wondering. Are there, like, women ones out and about? Because I yearn for true gender equality.
So, but to be honest, there is no mention of any women in the Derethi priesthood.
I don't think we've ever been told of an actual Derethi woman at all in this book.
Yeah, a Fjordelian, someone who's within the church. No. Other than just like the followers, the Derethi followers. But we haven't heard of any like priests or others who are women in the Derethi religion.
I mean, no wonder Dilaf is so upset all the time.
I mean, outside of Luke's wife, who's Fjordish, I don't think we've gotten any other female character from Fjordell.
No, we have not.
I yearn for true gender equality. Okay, you got the last
That's an interesting thing. I never would have thought about that, though, like, until you brought it up, but yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no, that they've used he pronouns, so we know the word is male.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's not to say that there aren't women who are in the Derethi priesthood. It's just that we haven't seen them on screen. So, just don't know. Okay, so chapter 59. So, Raiden has more pain. Woo! So he is in serious pain. But he opens his eyes to see Kian's house. And Dilaf is there and is trying to get Sereni to come out. And Sereni agrees to come out to the roof to talk to Dilaf.
Very poor decision.
And so that she can talk to Raoden and say goodbye to Raoden. Sad. So.
Oh, poor Sereni.
Because, like, she sees him and, like, like, shuffling and, like, not able to stand right. So she knows, like, he got, like, brain damage. And knows that as a Lantern, that doesn't heal.
He wasn't even, at least from how I read it, he wasn't even standing. Like, he was on the ground. That's how I read it. So he was laying on the ground, like, barely cognizant. And Sereni sees this, and she loves him. So she's, like, really worried about him. So she,
I betrayed myself for my love.
So she, like an idiot, goes out on the roof and immediately gets captured.
Like a princess does.
Yep, like a princess does. And Dilaf uses her to convince King Eventio to let them into Teod, where he is then planning to kill the king and burn all of the Teod Armada ships.
As you do.
I
That's
mean,
one
right?
does when
Yep.
you're a 2D villain.
Those blasted Teod ships. I would burn them too.
So
When you're a
And how-
comically two-dimensional,
When you're a Saturday morning cartoon villain.
zealous priest of a demonic war monastery.
and Hrathen is upset about this because he's like, that was unnecessary. Like, you don't need to do that. You didn't need to do that because I already had Eventio. He already agreed to convert. Deloff is like, no, like, he agreed to convert, but he wasn't gonna let us like invade his country, like, and slaughter all his people like we want to do. So we need to go do this. Yeah, and then so Raoden gets to the point where the agony is unbearable and he becomes Hoid.
When Deloff stabs him, yes.
Yep. Yep. And Serene is screaming and like she is like so upset about this. Because she can see and his Hoid mantra is failed. Failed, my love. Failed.
Aw.
That hurts, man.
It really does.
And the last thing is Deloff orders all of the people in the city to be taken into Elantris. And to gather all of the bodies of the Elantrians and burn them before we're assuming that they're going to end up where that they are going to then kill all of the people of Kai.
Dun dun dun.
Before he dragged Serene off to go to Teod, I think. To go off
Oh,
somewhere.
but he also said like expect us within like 2 hours or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he says
1
within
hour.
the hour.
within
Yeah, 1
the
hour.
hour.
When we know that the journey is like 2 weeks.
Yep.
Strange that.
So briefly, Raoden was able to withstand his pain because he was used to the door's torture to him. So like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Does
He
kind
was
of
able
apply.
to withstand it for longer than he would have, than others might have, but he still ended up succumbing to the pain.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
sad.
He had brain image, and like that greatly affected like. So if you cut out like the pain receptors in an Elantrian's brain, if you were to remove them with like surgeon skill, would they feel pain constantly?
That is just.
It would be basically impossible because you have pain receptors all over your body.
But they all go up to the one part of your brain. If you were to remove that one part of your brain that registers pain, would... I don't know, they imply that brain, cranial trauma can happen to an Elantrian, so I'm wondering if... what is the part of the brain that receives pain?
I think if you were to do that, the Elantrian would become a Hoid before you would be able to do it, and you wouldn't be able to get them back.
The thalamus cortex.
I think the process of the surgery to get to that point would be too painful, and it would cause the Elantrian to become Hoid before the surgery was completed.
So
Yeah, that's a tough one.
We also have Dietloff is like, Hrathen, bring out your Sion. And Hrathen does, completely
Mhm.
subservient. And first of all, he tells it to call Evantio, and then Evantio he's like, who dares call my Sion? So there's no caller ID on these things. So anybody with a Sion could like just annoy the crap out of a world leader.
Well, so there is, but there isn't, because if if it is a Sion that the other Sion is familiar with, they would be able to say, because we know, because we've had Ashy say, like, hey, Serene, your father is trying to contact you.
Gotcha.
So
So
we know to that extent that Ashy knows when Eventio Sion is reaching out to him to talk to Serene. So there is like some form, but it would have to be like that the Sion knows who the other Sion belongs to.
I'm mainly just like thinking, what if the twins got a hold of a Sion and they just kept deciding to call like the Wern or Evantio at ungodly hours?
That would be hilarious.
Crank calling with Sion, so much fun.
Starting to explain a lot of Shudirith's motivations for their hatred in the Elantrians.
Is that why Dietloff? He
Right.
just got woken up repeatedly by an Elantrian calling him.
Yeah, right.
And I thought it was strange. The description of when Raoden goes Hoid is basically he doesn't feel anything. It's like his mind is shut down around him and put him in a box where he doesn't really see anything, hear anything, nor feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was
Yeah, he's like lost.
fascinating,
He's
'cause we-
completely lost his sense of self.
yeah, because we kept thinking of it as more so the pain was so much that he couldn't do anything. Well, this is more so the brain blocking him out to keep that small part of him safe.
Yeah, I did catch that too. It kind of transforms your understanding of it a little bit. Like, I guess I was thinking more along the lines of like you were saying, like they're just overcome with pain. But after reading this, it does kind of make it sound like Hoid is like a total separate state of being where you just like lose your identity.
And my last thing of this chapter, and this might go into the spoiler section, was how does Dietloff know where the Elantrians are hiding? Because he specifically says there's a building in the cleanest part of town. You will find them all.
I don't think we actually know how he knows.
Just Dietloff randomly having all of that knowledge.
I mean, he's probably got like spies. He probably pays off guards. I don't know.
Could have used a Sion.
Well, we know he doesn't have
Done
one
that
because he
too.
has Hrathen pull out his.
Or he does have a Sion, and it's just.
He just left it. This
Yeah.
whole thing happened. He's like, shoot, I left my Sion. Hrathen, let me borrow yours. Don't worry, I won't make
Oh, that's it. Oh no.
any large calls. No billing. That's all I got for this chapter set. I mean, the big stuff has begun.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. It's exciting. We're finally getting there. I still just want more magic. You know, we got these Decor Monastery guys, and they're kind of scary, but I just want to see some exciting Elantrian Aeons do some work.
You want to see the wizard duel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm still holding out for the main event.
Soon.
anything else anybody has for this chapter set then? Okie dokie then. Well, next time we're going to be covering the last 4 chapters of this book, chapters 60 to 63. Currently, it is time to head into the spoiler realm. So if you have not finished this book, the entire series, or potentially the entire Cosmere, then we recommend you stop here because it is likely that we will talk about everything and anything. If you are up to date, feel free to stick around because it is likely that we'll bring up details you may have missed or plot threads still yet to come. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, star, heart, or whatever it is on this podcast, and don't be afraid to comment your own thoughts and predictions. You can find us at CosmereConnectionsPod@gmail.com, at CConnectionspod on Twitter, and we even have our own Facebook group. We would love to hear from you. But if this is where we must part, then my name is ReaderWarrior, and I have been joined by Swiggity Swoo.
Hey, next time you try to make somebody your Rodin, make sure they're not secretly the head of a monastery.
John.
Wizard Duel.
And last but not least, Kay.
How it going?
And don't forget, there's always another connection. And we're back. Spoilers.
Split.
Okay, so chapter 55, which we learned the events of everything did happen last night. Serene wonders how she couldn't have figured it out. Raoden shows that he overlaid 2 illusions on top of each other.
Pretty cool trick there.
They see that Telrai and Eondel are dead.
Not many spoilers.
I do want to wonder though, do the illusions layer on top of each other so it makes his face look like a little bit bigger than it actually is, or are they kind of inside of each other? It's just one nose to be visible while the other one...
I think it does make his face a little bit. It's like right on the outside.
I would guess it's more that they're like on top of each other. Just
He's got them set up so that he can turn them on and off by tapping on things, I think. I remember reading that, I think. So he doesn't like...
What I'm
Oh, you mean for like the multiple layered? Because I was thinking like, for example, you couldn't give yourself like a smaller nose than you already have.
No, what
yes,
I'm saying is
correct.
like, so if you put on like a Halloween, like just the eye mask, and you put one on top of it, first of all, it expands out of your face a little bit. Whereas the magic just like both masks are like perfectly flush with each other.
The world
Yeah.
may never know.
I think it's that they're perfectly flush with each other considering they are light.
But it doesn't matter because he doesn't have to have them both on at the same time.
But he did.
Did he, though?
He had the Raoden normal one and then the Kalu one over
yeah,
top of it.
so he can't. So each time he wants to put the illusion back on, I think he has to redraw the Aeon and
Unless he just
attach
takes...
it.
I think that's if he deactivates the Aeon. If he just takes off whatever article of clothing it's bonded to, I don't think he needs to redraw it. Now the question is, he makes the comment that he needed to tie it all to each nerve and muscle or something that he doesn't even understand, but basically just copied off of a book. If Galadon were to put on the article of clothing, would it form around his face?
Not correctly.
Okay.
It would, but it would be off. Like, if his face was too small, parts of his face would be sticking out of the illusion.
Okay.
Would it though? Because he
If
says
the,
he
if
had to.
the,
He says he had to link each part of the illusion to the appropriate part of his body to make it like animated. So
Yeah.
if Galadon put it on,
but
mightn't
if
it
he,
link it still back to Raoden? You see what I'm driving at with that?
I don't think it operates like Bluetooth. I think because we still have the argument that it only works in a small area. I don't think it's a matter of on and off. I think it's a matter of who's wearing it.
Does it though? We don't know.
Oh, we know.
Can't argue, but
I mean,
pretty sure
it
you're
could
wrong.
work that way, maybe.
Could, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
I mean, fair
I think
enough.
you do have to specify a target, right?
yes.
If you're not specifying the target that it's on, it's not really gonna work.
Because that would be stupidly OP if like anybody could control how you looked from like across the world. Can you imagine?
No,
like,
because it does have a range, so like,
can you
and
imagine?
even still, like
That'd
he
be
had
so
to,
hilarious.
he had to design that himself. So like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna be like, here, this mask, if you turn it on, will turn me silly colors. Like,
I feel like the twins have just gotten more dangerous.
I was interested to wonder, like, yeah, right, how Deloff turned his illusions off from a distance.
So Deloff's powers are not as inhibited as the Elantrian powers are. So Deloff's powers still have their full range.
I would also guess it's sort
I
of
did not know that.
like popping a elementic bubble, or maybe it's like pulling or burning copper,
perhaps.
or what's the one where you dissipate by touching?
That's aluminum.
No,
No,
the one that's aluminum, but you don't have to ingest it.
No, it's the external aluminum.
I know.
Whatever
yeah.
that one is.
Yeah.
I'm imagining it's just like that. Or maybe devotion magic and dominion magic are so opposite of each other that
A leecher, but I can't remember the type of metal that
I
leeches.
don't remember the metal
It's
either.
not cadmium, is it?
Huh?
It's not
what?
cadmium, right?
No.
Cadmium?
No.
it's
Barium?
chromium.
Oh, right.
It's
Chromium destroys targets' elementic reserves.
cadmium is with Bendalloy.
That's it slows
Not-
time.
Not cadmium, chromium.
Chromium is with Bendalloy?
No, it's
No,
cadmium.
that's what Reader was saying. It was
I
chromium.
know. I was saying cadmium. What Swiggity
Oh.
had said was the one that goes with
Oh.
Bendalloy.
Yes, that is correct.
I was just wanting to confirm
Yeah.
to Swiggity that in fact that is one of the elementic metals. It is
Gotcha.
just not the one we were looking for.
Right.
I'll say this is the only one that on the hemalurgy table has might in it. Everything else is steals, removes. But this one has might steal destiny.
Well, yeah, because
you
steal destiny.
How can they
You
be
can't-
the other ones like fortune? Yet.
Fortune is something that you.
We do not need to talk about the lost metal, Ars Arcanum. Okay. Swiggity moved this into chapter 56. So, if Eondel had gotten permission from Raoden about, hey, can I go kill Telrai for vengeance, for honor, whatever the reason is, how much of this would be changed?
None.
Really, because I think Delof only like starts the attack when he sees that Raoden is king and Raoden is an Elantrian.
Well, yeah, but if
That's why they're
if
2 weeks early.
if Eondel, are you saying if Eondel hadn't gone to kill Telri?
Yes.
Okay,
So
sorry.
Telri's still on the throne?
Yes.
The way that you phrased it, it sounded like you were saying that instead of Eondel just running off by himself, is that he got permission to to go running off to go kill Telri.
Okay,
and I was
but
like, he still killed Telri. I was like, there's no difference.
okay, but Raoden wouldn't have given him permission if he had waited for permission. I should have.
Yeah. And he hadn't killed Telri. I mean, I think Raoden still would have ended up taking the throne.
True.
Because the people of Erelon
And
just want
it is
him.
still rightfully his.
Yeah.
And the city guards do come to him, so.
Yeah.
Delof would have just killed him himself, probably. Telrai being the him.
I don't know. That is interesting. They don't. If they're just gonna murder everyone, like, do they even care about him? Would they just
No.
slay him along with everyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. They would. They don't care. They're gonna kill everyone.
Brutal.
So if you're a king, it doesn't matter because you're still gonna die.
So does the door just refer to investiture in the same way that Rosharans just call every investiture a surge?
Yes.
Okay.
That's actually, I'm glad you brought that up because that's been kind of confusing to me. Like, multiple factions have access to the door. It's not just the Elantrians.
But the door is the Elantrians' name for that power. The power is all the same, but I think that different groups might have different names for the power. So if you ask Delof what he calls the power that we refer to as the door, I think he would probably call it a different name, but it's still the same power. And because it's Raoden who's referring to it, he knows that power as the door. So he's going to refer to it as the door. Because it's all the same power.
Okay.
Technically, it wasn't the Elantrians, it was the doula.
What? But the Elantrians referred to it as the door.
Yes, but I'm saying
Yes.
the doula had it first.
So my statement still stands with the fact that the Elantrians referred to it as the door. It doesn't really matter who came up with the name.
When you say the doula, you mean because the Jindo?
I'm saying the doula because there was that whole thing where, since it only has one vowel, Raoden was like, that doesn't sound like a Aeonic word, and Galadon was like, it's not, it's from doula, and
Yeah.
then you have the whole, the door surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the universe together, that whole thing.
I know. It can still be a doula word and still be Elantrian as well.
Yeah. We know soul stamping is a magic, aeons are a magic. Do we know what the Dominion magic is called?
It's whatever the monks of Decor use, but we don't know what it's called.
Bonafide.
Monks. Decor. If I just go under Delof, that'll probably pull it up. Decor.
Is it just Decor?
Decor, yes. Magic.
See, and now I'm picturing that doofus from what's that Office show? Parkour! Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's the bit.
From The Office.
Decor.
Okay, there you go. The Office.
Yeah, they have one of the strangest magic systems. Like, it's not super well explained, but it sounds like they're growing bones into the shapes, and kind of how like you making shapes out of aeons to direct power. The bones are like directing the power into themselves.
Correct.
Aeons are more of an
And
external magic, while the whatever Dominions is an internal one.
yeah, and then using said power kills you. Um the stress of channeling the power through your bones destroys you.
Yeah.
So how do they? What do they do? Do they just die? And that
Yeah.
if they sacrifice them
Where are you getting
themselves?
that they die?
Don't they? Yeah, they die.
Well, everybody dies. But where are you saying? Where are you getting that because they do that they die
So
quicker? Because it says
You
they
know, in
have
the
extraordinary
Cosmere,
no,
I'm not
no,
sure
abilities.
if
no, no,
that's
no, no,
actually
no, no, no,
true.
no, no, no. When so in order to use the power, they have to sacrifice a person.
Yes,
Yes.
but that's killing somebody else.
One of the monks has to be sacrificed.
Is it one of the monks or just a person?
Yes. No, it's one of the monks.
And is that the person who gets the power, or is it kind of like hemalurgy?
I think
That's so
it's
weird.
not necessary. It's not the person who gets the power, but I think it's the person who uses the power, if that makes sense.
Are
I
they
don't think
giving them the bones?
I don't think it says you have to kill. Let's see. Priests below the level of Ragnar must require permission from the word prior to blah blah blah. Potential members may be required to kill somebody before being admitted, as Fionn was required to kill Harathan before being admitted. To come later in the book. Trains vicious warriors that Harathan refers to as demons. Decor monks gain enhanced abilities as a result of bony patterns that grow under their skin.
So this is directly from the book, chapter 60, which is the next chapter, is that Harathan stood next to Dilaf, remaining perfectly still as instructed. They stood in a circle, 50 Decor, Sereni, and Harathan, with one solitary monk in the center. The Decor raised their hands, and the men on either side of Harathan placed a hand on his shoulder. His heart began to pound as the monks began to glow, the bone inscriptions beneath their skin shining. Kai vanished around them. So I don't know if I was implying that the monk that they sacrifice kind of gets the they. This is kind of how I was thinking, is that they use it as like a channel to channel the power through, which is what causes that person to die, because that the monk at the center had been fuel. His flesh and soul burned away, a sacrifice in return for the instantaneous transportation to T-Note.
But I didn't think it was necessarily needing to be a monk. I think they could have just used anybody.
Then why wouldn't they have just grabbed a random person off the street?
Because
There are so many people
they
in
were in a
Kai
rush.
that they
I
could
don't
have
know.
grabbed and used if they wanted to.
Let me pull.
Because they were planning to kill all of them anyway. So.
And it's a pretty big investment to build a Dakor monk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll post in the 17th shard real quick. Oh, I'm already on the Elantris one. That's weird.
Raider just doesn't believe me.
I'm wondering if there's like a specific lob.
Why would there need to be a wob when it's stated in the book?
Because reader,
I'm wanting to see if there's double checked because I'm not understanding it the same way you are, and I'm just wondering
So,
if there's ever been a confirmation. I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just saying I'm wanting evidence of elaboration.
Trust but verify.
Yes.
okay. So, we'll continue on while Raider is trying to figure.
I've asked it. Okay, we'll continue on. So let's move on to 57. Very difficult, spoilery chapter. Harathan is jealous. The monks of Dakor. Chapter 58.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got only one note about this. So we've got Raoden gets attacked at night by the monks of Dakor.
Darkor!
Dakor.
Hardcore Darkor!
Yep. Hardcore, parkour. Then we got Sereni meeting with Hoyd. There was a previous...
Hoyd!
Yes, we got our Hoyd sighting.
Hoyd!
There was a previous line in a previous chapter that said the people dropping off supplies would only do so at like a specific time and wouldn't do so with anybody around them.
Yeah.
Why is that if Hoyd wants to be an Elantrian?
So, it is because he is working with the people who have run away from the farms, who are essentially runaway slaves, and they don't want to be found. So they're
Okay.
like, we won't let anyone see us.
Wait, they ran away from
They ran.
Kai?
They left the plantations.
Yeah. And are living in the cities, the other cities surrounding Elantris.
Because Iadon wouldn't allow beggars. He would just like round them up and send them back to the plantations, and they're like, no.
Oh, so that one scene of Harathan walking around and meeting with the beggars was set up?
Yes.
Yep.
Holy crap, Brandon, I'm impressed. I was not expecting that in Elantris.
It's about time this book impressed you somehow.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you guys think about Hoyd?
He's out of character.
I don't know.
Mean,
he's a little out of character.
This is his the very first sighting of Hoyd.
Yeah.
So we can't really say he's out of character, considering we don't even know his character at this point. Like...
Plus, he's a different character everywhere he goes, so...
Yeah.
But usually always he's kind of like a trickster or like a storyteller or something. Here he's like very serious and like taking orders, and it's his very first appearance. That's what I'm accounting it to. But knowing what Hoyd becomes, it is a very different character.
I mean, he's got all those two lines though too, so
it's funny to see Hoyd and not have him be sassy.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, because we're so used to wit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, he as an informant in Mistborn, he's not sassy really.
Yeah, and as Wax's coach driver, he's not really sassy.
But you can read him being an informant with like a smile and like cracking joke. I don't remember him saying anything real. Well, I don't really remember much about when he's working for Wax. But like this, I can't really picture him as like smiling and like absolutely we'll deliver these supplies of weapons to the Elantrians.
But still, it is cool to see him, even if it took so long. It did take so long that you're almost like, oh yeah, like he's here, like from the very beginning.
That may be why I called dibs on this chapter. Just for Hoyd.
Just for Hoyd?
Just
Not
for Hoyd.
for everything else that happened in this chapter?
Well, also for the last bit of in the Sereni point of view, so Sereni heads back. A Decorum monk uh, almost kills her, but then Cain shows up. They collapse the entryway somehow, and it's revealed that Cain was Driok Crushed Throat. And I do like this reveal. I know it's got very little setup, and I've been the one complaining about all of that this entire
Yeah.
book for everything else. But it's so much in the background that honestly I don't care. I just find it fun.
So
Just
it's
like
okay.
I was saying, I just want to see a sequel where we get more. Like,
I want a prequel, man. I don't want this story.
I know that would be really cool though. Like Elantris Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Brandon. We already know Brandon wants to write pirate stories.
I mean, he's
Or
already
is that
written
just
one.
Tress?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
The Raid and Serenia relationship is a little bit similar to the relationship in Tress. If only that they're just interacting constantly and you don't know it until the end.
yeah.
Mhm.
Then you got the Harathan chat section of the chapter where you have him realizing that Delof is a graduate of the Dakor Monastery. He doesn't remember Delof yet, but we'll get to that. And
Well, he wasn't in Decor for that long, so it's
I think they say he was in there for
unsurprising.
like a month.
Yeah.
And then they got the orders are revealed to be a warning, not, what he thought they were.
Yeah.
Delof has kind of gone cuckoo bananas.
Delof was always cuckoo bananas, so this isn't news.
So is he a loaf of banana bread? Because he's loaf bananas.
That was
Deloaf.
terrible.
Oh
My
gosh.
brain does weird stuff.
Praise Jadith.
Anything else for chapter 58?
I guess I would just like to point out that the Decor Monastery is another of the things of Elantris that we see like right here and never again for like a long time. But they are like really cool and they've stuck in my mind ever since finishing this book.
They're very much like a proto for the Inquisitors. Like I got a very similar feel to the Inquisitors when they're like killing everybody and enjoying it. But like thinking about like the sequels, how are we gonna get that other point of view? Considering it seems to, I think the story's gonna head towards Duladel, where they're gonna try to find the source of the door. So unless Brennan's gonna write in the third character to be basically what Harathan was.
Why do you think that there's a source of the door in Duladel?
Because they say the door comes from
No, they said the
Duladel.
name came from Duladel.
Yeah. But that was the original point, so like there seems to be something that started there. By that word.
Yeah, but I would be interested to see if like if Decor is the kind of thing like hemalurgy that gets carried forward, or if it's more like we don't talk about that style.
Well, it'll
thing.
be interesting to see if autonomy is able to gain a presence on this world or not.
I wonder if, maybe to Swiggity's point, if whatever this magic is it like Ruin and Hemalurgy, where it's like just bad, there's not really much good that can come from it, or has it been warped into this?
there's very so little about
We don't even
any.
know the magic name, so
Right, we don't even know.
Yeah, like I mean, it's literally just spitballing. Like, there's no.
Yeah.
It could be anything. Like
Mhm.
they could be snorting bone powder to make it work. I don't know. Like,
I guess I'm just feeling like this might be the only time we ever talk about it, about these guys.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's probably next time too, but
Yeah.
We will talk about it whenever Elantris 2 and 3 get released. I can almost guarantee the Dark War monks will show up again.
So in 10 years.
yeah.
See you guys then.
We'll
I
probably
don't know.
still be recording episodes.
I kind
Yeah.
of think of it like tattoo magic. Like I picture them making these monks by taking like some sort of mystical magical tattoo ink, and then they like tattoo it on their body, and then it sinks in, and then wherever the tattoo was, their bones like grow and harden.
Well, Harathan says like anybody who spends enough time in them, their bones start to change. So it sounds like
Well,
something
he said
externally is like acting like radiation.
no. He said that there was like chanting and like
Mm.
specific like
Could those be
Like a
rhythms?
ritual.
yeah
I'm not
rituals.
doubting that there's a ritual, but there was a direct line that states,
Well, yeah, I think if you spend long enough there, you do it because of the chanting and the rituals happening.
Well, and presumably if you're there, you're participating and being transformed.
a few months after a boy was initiated into the order, his bones started to grow and twist, adopting a strange pattern like those visible beneath Elof's skin. It doesn't say that it's not coming from like a magic circle, but
Yeah.
to me it read like something about the monastery itself caused.
Later on, Harathan states something about being in a circle and there being like chanting and pain.
I believe,
Like that's what he remembers from his time in Decor.
but I also think like he's specifically remembering when they wanted to do the teleportation thing. Or maybe it's a way to like speed up the growth. I mean, we know that Elantrians are like radioactively turned into an Elantrian. So what if there is Devotion's magic does it the same?
Dominion.
Dominions, yes, sorry. So what if Dominion's magic is also that, but it's slower in a way? Or maybe they've made it so now it acts slower. We don't know.
Correct.
We just don't know. We need like a Vice article, like inside the Decor Monastery.
What we need is Brandon to hand over his notes from 10 years ago. Just on this book.
Yep.
Okay. Chapter 59. So Reread is able to withstand the pain because the door tortured him. Then we got Swiggity just wanting to say goodbye, which is a really poor move, but also like
Really sad.
yeah. So then we've got I believe I brought it up, like could Delof have been using Harathan Sion to contact the Yorn?
To
The
contact Wern.
Yes.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it, though, because it seemed like the box was undisturbed
Yeah.
when he.
Well, and the box had been
checked
pried at or whatever, but not opened. And the Sion even said, "No,
But,
I
like,
haven't been used."
But this is somebody who outranks Harathan. So if Delof said, you're going to make a call and then we're going to erase the history of this call, you are not to tell anybody, I feel like this is one person who would have that authority.
I mean, I suppose.
Because it comes out of the box and
Plausible?
then immediately does what Deloff says.
I wonder if you need to open the box to use it, because Shallan doesn't open the box when she used the Sea-Owned in Rhythm of War.
But is that the same box though?
It's
I-
not.
I don't have any reason to believe it would be the same, but
Not specifically, it's the same exact box used here, but is it of like the same nature?
We don't
Right.
know.
like that either. But
The other thing
I guess
is you
I'm
would-
just saying maybe you
think
could use
that
it
if
without opening it.
Sorry, I keep talking over you.
There you go.
But you would think that if they give the Giorns a Sion, that they would also give one to the Garage Debts. You know, like,
Part of
especially...
the thing with him is that he's been deep undercover for years, for decades.
Yeah.
Right. But all the more if you are the highest ranked member of the church other than, you know,
The Pope.
yeah, evil Pope, that, oh, hey, you're going on a long undercover mission here. This is how you radio for help or something.
Well, he's got probably...
Also,
Actually, I don't think they would have had that.
Also, he says outright that he has been spending all of this time planning the invasion. How can he do that if he can't communicate back?
True. But again, but now my question is that at whatever address the monastery is at, is there just like a pile of letters and mail at his door if he's been gone for so long?
Presumably there would be mail forwarding or like an acting garage debt.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is somebody else
Some-
in charge while he's gone?
Probably.
I want that character's point of view.
Why?
So
It's
I
probably
didn't-
great. Oh, great. I got another letter from Deloff. Okay,
No.
you're
I want
the
the
next one on the
character-
metamorphosis block.
I want the character that's like, I never wanted to be in charge. Oh my gosh, can he please come? Wait, what do you mean he's dead now? No.
I'm trying to remember, but I did hear some story about like the Pope's magazine subscriptions.
I heard they made an
And,
anime
like-
character.
Like the new Pope comes and he's like, "Oh, I'll take this. I'll leave that." Like,
Why are there 7,000 volumes of Reader's Digest in here?
exactly.
Spam, 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 spam. Ooh, a letter from my grandma. Oh, she died 20 years ago.
Jadith Weekly.
All right,
Okay.
we're spinning off the rails a little bit here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so my other question is this actually what the Warren wants, or is Deloff kind of twisting it into what he wants?
Yes.
Great, thanks.
I think they both want the same thing.
Yeah,
I
like
think they both
I think
want to just.
I think they very clearly are both after the same goal. Because
Erelon to the sword.
yeah, Wern wants to take over the world and be the sole, conduit to Yadeth or whatever, and he wants to make a point of his might and his superiority or whatever. And Deloff hates the Elantrians, so like what better tool could you possibly have to go work towards that end in that space?
I'm just thinking how, because even though like he showed up in a Sion, the Warren's character is like completely nothing. I think it would be cool if like he was still sort of like good-ish. Like maybe he doesn't want to kill anybody, and if he knew that Harathan had kind of succeeded, he would have been like, okay, but this is Deloff, now unable to control the facts that an Elantrian is now the king. He doesn't think this is going to succeed, so he's jumping the gun completely. And that if the Wern were to know about this, he would tell him to stop.
Yeah, no. If the Wern is an avatar of ambition, then
We don't know the
He's-
Wern is.
Yes, the Wern is an avatar of ambition.
I thought we knew
Yeah.
that Yadif was, not the Wern.
Same thing, basically.
You guys mean autonomy, right?
Yeah.
yes, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, not ambition.
Just making sure.
But
Catch.
autonomy wants people for their individuality, for their own ideas, for making their own things. So autonomy would like Dilaf going off on his own and making his own decisions.
So there's nothing saying that Wern is a avatar. There is about Yadif.
Okay.
And it said he have wielded a sword named Gretgor. A sword thought to be Gretgor is still extant and held in Weedor. Don't know
Okay.
what
whatever.
that all means. I don't
Whatever
know.
that means.
It's probably the Cellish version of a shard blade.
Oh, that would be cool. I mean, all that the sword is Gretgor is the sword used by the first Wern, founder of the Fjorda Empire. And
Yeah, well,
Weedor is the capital of Fjordell on Cell. Why does it specify on Cell? Weedor can be the
Fjordell is.
Weedor could be the title of a future Elantris sequel. However, this can change as Brennan has yet to canonize the name. That would be cool if the 3 books are 3 city names.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool. In the same way that Storm and Archive are all books.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool. It is a lot about the city.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me pull up my notes again.
Do
So-
we have any other comments?
So, I've already asked how Dilaf knows where the Elantrians are hiding. I don't think that's ever really said at all. But also, I believe I commented a while ago that maybe people who were Hoid wouldn't be able to recover because they would have been swallowed by the pain. I think this chapter kind of negates that.
But it kind of reinforces the fact that they wouldn't be able to recover because the fact that once they are get to that point, they're just floating in nothing.
But
Like-
they're not. My thing was they are experiencing pain constantly, and then they are returned, but they still have not moved past that. They need therapy. Whilst
They're
this
not conscious
yes.
of what is
So-
going on.
My thing was they're constantly in pain, while this seems to imply that they're just in a coma.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I got.
I don't know. It's just another one of those things that I'm not really sure about, you know?
Anything from you, John?
Nope.
Anything from you, Kay?
Nope.
Okay, well, that will just about cover it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us in our ramblings and predictions. This has been Cosmere Connections, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Elantrians.
Do it in a death metal style this time.
No.
I've been to a metal
Cosmere
concert.
Connections.
No.
Okay.